America has just been blindsided by its closest ally. Canada, once Washington's most reliable partner, has chosen a new path, signing deals with 11 global partners while leaving the United States on the sidelines. The ripple effects are catastrophic. Entire U.S. industries that once relied on Canadian buyers are crumbling, with jobs vanishing, factories shuttering, and farms falling into bankruptcy. This isn't just about trade, it's about power, influence, and the end of an era where the United States could assume loyalty by default. If Canada can walk away, who's next? And if American industries are already collapsing, how much longer can Washington pretend everything is under control? Before we dive into this eye-opening breakdown of collapsing industries, shifting alliances, and the human toll behind the headlines, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on the notification bell. We bring you deep dive analysis into the world's biggest economic shifts, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. The United States and Canada share the world's longest undefended border. For over a century, they've been more than neighbors, they've been partners, bound together by trade, culture, and security. But something profound has changed. While Washington was distracted by internal politics, Canada quietly built new relationships, negotiated fresh trade agreements, and reoriented its economy away from dependence on the U.S. The result is a reshaped North America, one where the balance of power is shifting northward. 11 new trade agreements later, Canada now has privileged access to markets stretching across Europe, Asia, and Latin America. And for the first time in modern history, U.S. industries are paying the price. From farmers in the Midwest to auto workers in Detroit, the consequences are real, painful, and immediate. This is not just about losing a customer. It's about losing the foundation of an economic partnership that once seemed unbreakable. New trade agreements and the exclusion of the U.S. For decades, Canada was seen as the junior partner in the North American economic relationship. Its industries relied heavily on U.S. buyers, its policies often aligned with Washington, and its markets were deeply integrated with America's. But over the past decade, Ottawa has rewritten the script. By signing 11 trade agreements, including the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement with the European Union and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, Canada secured privileged access to more than 1.5 billion consumers. The United States, meanwhile, is absent from both. This shift is more than symbolic. It means Canadian exporters can sell goods to Europe and Asia with lower tariffs, better terms, and fewer restrictions. American companies, by contrast, face higher costs, longer barriers, and shrinking competitiveness. In effect, Canada has gained the upper hand in markets Washington once took for granted. The exclusion of the U.S. has also redefined global perceptions. Canada is now seen as the bridge between continents, while America is increasingly viewed as an unreliable, inward-looking player. For businesses deciding where to invest, that distinction matters, and billions of dollars are now flowing north as a result. The collapse of U.S. retail dominance in Canadian stores. Walk through a Canadian shopping mall today, and you'll notice something striking: fewer American brands. Once, U.S. retailers like Target, Sears, and even Walmart seemed unstoppable in Canada. But those days are fading fast. Target famously failed and pulled out entirely, while Sears Canada collapsed under pressure from leaner competitors. Even Walmart, the ultimate American giant, faces intense competition from Canadian and European chains that now enjoy tariff advantages and cultural relevance. What's happening here isn't just about consumer choice, it's about access. With new trade agreements, Canadian stores are sourcing goods directly from Europe and Asia without the same markups or tariffs that apply to U.S. imports. That makes American products more expensive, less attractive, and often less available. For U.S. manufacturers, the collapse of retail dominance means losing their second-largest market. Billions of dollars in lost sales translate to factories slowing down, jobs disappearing, and entire product lines being cut. The shelves in Canada may look full, but behind them is a quiet collapse of American retail influence. Ford and GM's migration of auto production into Ontario and Quebec. The auto industry has long been a cornerstone of U.S.-Canadian integration. Detroit and Windsor, separated only by a river, were once twin hubs of North American car production. But now, that balance is tipping north. Ford and General Motors, faced with higher costs and tighter conditions in the U.S., are increasingly shifting production into Ontario and Quebec. Why? Because Canada offers access to European and Asian markets through its new agreements. Vehicles assembled in Ontario can be exported tariff-free to the EU, while American-made cars face tariffs that make them less competitive. The math is simple: building in Canada opens doors, building in the US closes them. The implications are devastating for American auto workers. Plants in Michigan, Ohio, and Illinois are facing closures or reduced shifts, while new investments pour into Canadian facilities. Communities built around auto jobs are being hollowed out, with local economies losing their anchors. For decades, Detroit symbolized American industrial strength. Today, that strength is quietly relocating to Ontario. Midwest farmers crushed by lost Canadian buyers. No group feels the pain of Canada's trade shift more directly than American farmers. For generations, Midwest producers relied on Canadian buyers for wheat, corn, soybeans, and beef. That trade was steady, reliable, and critical to farm incomes. But with Canada's new trade deals, those buyers now have cheaper, more diverse options. Instead of buying from Iowa or Nebraska, Canadian importers can source grain from Europe or beef from South America, often at lower prices thanks to reduced tariffs. As a result, American farmers are losing contracts that sustained their livelihoods for decades. The human cost is staggering. Family farms are going bankrupt. Rural communities are shrinking as young people leave in search of jobs. The stress is driving mental health crises, with farm suicide rates climbing. What was once a stable cross-border relationship has become a brutal competition, and American farmers are losing ground fast. Energy and data flows rerouted away from US control. Energy has always been one of the most powerful ties between Canada and the United States. Pipelines, grids, and shared infrastructure kept the two economies linked. But even here, the winds are shifting. Canada is increasingly routing its energy exports, oil, natural gas, and electricity, toward Europe and Asia. New LNG terminals on Canada's coasts bypass US routes, while European partners line up for Canadian energy that comes without Washington's political baggage. Even more striking is the rerouting of data flows. With new agreements, Canada is emerging as a hub for digital infrastructure, attracting cloud services, data centers, and tech investments that once would have gone south. For global firms, locating data in Canada offers access to European privacy protections and Asian markets, without the legal uncertainties of US regulations. This dual shift, of energy and information, weakens America's leverage. For decades, controlling pipelines and digital flows gave Washington strategic influence. Now, those flows are being redirected, eroding one of America's quiet but critical advantages. Manufacturing and finance shifting north to Canada and Europe. Manufacturing and finance are often seen as the backbone of modern economies, and both are quietly tilting away from the US toward Canada. Global corporations deciding where to build their next factories are choosing Canada for a simple reason: access. By producing in Canada, they can sell seamlessly into Europe and Asia. Producing in the US means facing barriers, tariffs, and uncertainty. Finance follows the same logic. Banks, insurers, and investment firms are increasingly setting up shop in Toronto, which is now marketed as the North American gateway to Europe and Asia. New regulations, global trade ties, and Canada's relative stability make it a safer bet than Wall Street for certain sectors. For the US, this represents more than lost business. It's a symbolic decline. America was once the unquestioned center of both manufacturing and finance. Now, it risks becoming a second-choice location, bypassed by companies chasing opportunity elsewhere. The community-level human toll, jobs, schools, and small businesses. Behind every statistic is a person. For American workers, the collapse of trade with Canada is daily life. A closed factory means lost wages and shuttered diners. A bankrupt farm means fewer crops and schools losing funding. Small towns across the Midwest and Rust Belt feel the domino effect. When major employers vanish, shops, churches, and hospitals struggle too. The decline isn't just economic, it's social. Communities once thriving on US-Canada trade now face hard choices: relocate, downsize, or fight to survive. Washington may overlook it, but ordinary families live it every day. The collapse of 7 US industries is more than a trade story, it's a warning. Retail giants are retreating, auto jobs shifting north, farmers going bankrupt, and communities hollowing out. America is paying for complacency while Canada rises through strategy. If Washington doesn't adapt, yesterday's lobster trap will look small compared to the global trap closing in today. If this deep dive opened your eyes, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with others. These shifts are happening right now, and their impacts will shape the future of the US economy. Stay tuned, we'll be here breaking it all down so you don't get caught off guard.